Hey guys, welcome in or welcome back. I suck at building, which is ironic to say as my entire channel is basically all about building. Now don't get me wrong, I don't think I'm the worst builder ever, but I'm definitely not the greatest. But I want to change that. So today I'm going to challenge myself and build something very out of my comfort zone. Obviously though, I'm going to start small and I'm going to build a mid-century modern tiny home. Now I build very traditional cluttered homes, and mid-century modern is basically the complete opposite. So I'm kind of nervous to see how this is going to turn out, but I think I can do it. If you want me to make this a series of me building tiny homes in different styles that I normally don't do, the best way to let me know is by liking and subscribing, as that tells me and YouTube you want to see more of these kind of videos. But with all that being said, let's try and build this house. So we're going to be in the world of Nordhaven that came with the Businesses and Hobbies pack, and we're going to be on the old Torget house. Now this is a 20 by 15 lot that is in the downtown district of Nordhaven. I don't know the exact neighborhood, but it's around that area. And today's build is loosely based on a reference photo, just because I could not have come up with this in my own head. Now, from my research of the mid-century modern kind of build style, it's a lot of squares and a lot of windows, which I think is the perfect way to start out by doing something out my comfort zone. As you can see, I basically just built two massive squares with a little diagonal for extra flair. And later on, I'm going to add a third box that's going to become the bathroom. The first box though is going to be where the living room, kitchen, bedroom and stuff is. It's going to be a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom with a spare office on the side of the house. Now, mid-century modern has a lot to do with just windows upon windows, like basically floor to ceiling. And obviously I wanted to incorporate that, seeing as it is a major part of this kind of build style. So like I said, I have that big addition to the side of the house that's all windows, and then I have a big window in front of the house that is where the bedroom's going to be, and then in the back of the house it's also going to be a massive window, and that's where the kitchen living room area is going to be. Now since this is a tiny house, there is not going to be that much space. As you can see, I've already used up almost all of the tiles for this tier. To be fair though, some of that was spent on platforms, so this house is more so probably a tier 2 home if I did not use all these platforms. But I had to, okay? It really adds to the build, and the reference photo has that, so I think it's worth it. Now, the roofing for this house was honestly pretty simple. I just used 2 slanted roofs, and then I used like a part of a hip roof for the cover of the entrance. Now, something I really love about mid-century modern build architectural styles is the use of a very rich wood tone against a very muted gray stone. I think that looks beautiful, and obviously I had to incorporate it into this house. So where that big window is in the front, we're gonna have some wood planks going about. I believe that wood came with like a recent update, but I never used it, and I figured this would be the perfect chance to try it out. And then we just go in with some base game stone around the majority of the box area. And an issue I was having is that the roof had to either be fully stone or fully wood. Either way, it looked weird, so I had to use a bit more tiles than I wanted to add like a little stopping point where the wood stops and then the stone continues. So it kind of looks like a faux arch around that window, which I thought looked so sick, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. What I'm not happy with is how I had to use up my tiles, but it's okay. Now, I tried using stone for where the bump out is. That's eventually going to be the bathroom, but it was looking very busy. Obviously that stone is a lot, but I ended up using some plain like concrete sort of wallpaper just to mute it a little bit and not have everything be so busy, because we have the stone, we have the wood planks on the wall. Obviously that's a lot as is, so we kind of need something to break that up. Now in the reference photo, the platforms going up to the house don't have the staircases in the front. Now the staircases are going to be here for a little bit. Reason being is because I messed up the platforms inside the house, and I wanted to have like 2 sets of stairs going down into the side of the house with the big windows instead of just like a single like step down platform, because I thought it was going to be cooler. But when I did that, that meant that the platforms were going to be off, so I had to add a staircase. I ended up removing that though, and I'm very glad that I was able to figure that out, because I think it looks a lot cleaner and sleeker with just like the 2 step up platforms. And I know Sims can be a little bit buggy with platforms. I did play the test this whole house. The platforms work fine, thankfully. But if not, I probably would have had to do the stairs, which I would not be a fan of. But thankfully, I did not have to do that. You can also see that I have these little like paver things going up to the house. That is just pieces of floor tile. I don't know what specific concrete I use. I believe it's base game. I could be wrong, but I just have it going up to the house like in the reference photo. I thought that was so cool. And what I think is even cooler is that a lot of lots, the only entrance is from the front of the house and like the sides of the house are like grass. But this lot, basically all four sides of it is like sidewalk or concrete or something, so it doesn't look as out of place if you were to place it on a lot with just one side of it being concrete, if that makes sense. But now we are going to be moving on into the kitchen slash living room area, and this is where things get a little bit dicey and you just need to trust the process. So an issue I was running into with this kitchen is that I could not have a full length fridge, and you might be like, oh, luvions, why? Like, it looks like a fridge could normally fit there. It can't, because what happens is if I place a fridge on either side of the wall, you're going to see it from the window. And it might not be that big of a deal, but to me it is, because one of the main features of this house is its windows. And if you can see half of a fridge through that window, it takes away from the vibe of the house so much. I don't know how to explain it. It makes it look less sleek, and it was really bugging me. You can see I like tried to test it out just to make sure I wasn't tripping, and it looked bad. So what I ended up doing is I took a mini fridge. I believe I'm gonna use the Adventure Awaits one, and I just put it next to one of the counters. And unfortunately, you can see a little bit of it if you look into the house. I tried to use the hedge to cover it up a little bit. It kind of worked, but I would honestly take that over a massive fridge blocking up part of the windows. I do end up putting a stove and sink in here, so this is a fully functional kitchen. I play tested it. You can cook whatever you want. And also, I've never used a mini fridge really, unless it's in like a toddler's room, so I can easily grab food and give it to the toddler. So I think this was a perfect time to use a mini fridge. The living room though is going to be very simple. We just have a 2 wide sofa with a single armchair, so it can seat about 3 Sims. I wanted to have some extra seating for your Sims because the table that I'm going to end up fitting in this house can only seat 2 Sims, so you can have up to 5 Sims sitting in this area, which I think is nice, especially if you want to have a couple friends over. Now you're going to be seeing me fiddle with the dining table for quite a bit, and at first what I wanted to do for it was have it function as not only a table but like an end table as well, and it sounded cute in practice, but in theory it did not work that well. There ended up being a lot of dead space in the middle of the house that just looked kind of weird, so I had to reformat it a little bit and try and fit the dining table into that dead space, and it looks like it might be a little bit too tight. It's not. I play tested it. It works fine, thankfully. Now, I don't know if you've noticed already, but this house does use quite a bit of packs. Specifically kits. I think I use like 4 different kits in here, which is very egregious, I won't lie. But honestly, in a lot of my other builds, I use basically every single pack that I own, which is everything up to Adventure Awaits. But I think I did pretty well. A lot of the packs I used though, it was just like 1 or 2 items. So if you do end up downloading this house and you don't have like a Snowy Escape or something, I use like a plant and an end table from there, or like Eco Lifestyle, I use like a flooring from there. Majority of what you're gonna need though is the kits. I used a lot of the Book Nook kit, the Sleek Bathroom kit, the Reformation Living Room kit. A lot of that stuff you're going to need, otherwise you're going to be missing like the sofas and all of the bathroom stuff and a lot of the other furniture from those kits, unfortunately. I do think it would be a fun idea in the future though to try to do this again with a limited number of packs, just so more people are able to download them. But now you can start to see what I mean when I said that the color scheme was sort of being thrown off because I added the flooring. I tried to go for some wood flooring at first, but I realized very quickly that it was way too much brown in this house. So I ended up switching it out for some businesses and hobbies, like concrete flooring that I used outside, which honestly is probably one of the best concrete floorings in the game, dare I say. And I also used this very pretty rug from the base game. It came with an update a while ago, and it has a lot of pretty plain swatches, which I use all the time, but I never really have a use for the patterned ones. But in this house, it was the perfect time to use it as it matches so well with this house, especially with the Reformation kit, the armchair that I'm using. It ties in the cream and the yellow from that chair very well. So shout out to that rug. Now, I was thinking at first that I wanted to put some curtains in this house. Ended up not going for it though. Again, I just felt like it took away from the entire vibe of this house. If you want to put curtains in, you can, but I just think it looks so much better, unfortunately, without curtains. I don't know why. Realistically, you would want to have curtains in this house, especially because this house is on a very public street and you don't want random people looking into your house. But it's The Sims and no one really cares, you know? Now we're moving on into me trying to figure out the lighting situation. And it was going good at first with the dining room area. I just used like a pendant from Growing Together. But when we got into the bedrooms and the little office area, that is where I was struggling. Because on the one hand, I wanted like a big pendant, like something grand that also emitted a lot of light, because a lot of the lights in The Sims does not emit that much light. So I tried a few ones out, but mainly on the office, it just took away from the whole grandeur of the office, because basically 3 sides of the office is just entirely windows. And if you have a big pendant hanging down, it takes away from the whole openness of the office, because again, it's all glass pretty much. I did use the light from the sleek bathroom kit. I decided though, once I got done with this build and was like doing my playtesting and stuff, to change it to just like a very plain saucer light from the base game. And honestly, I like that a lot more than the sleek bathroom light. Don't get me wrong, I do love the sleek bathroom light. I think it's very pretty and it has its uses. In this house though, it did not have a use. Now moving on into the bedroom, this one was a little bit of a doozy. I wanted to include a double bed in this house just so you could have 2 Sims living here. Now, as you can see, this is a very skinny bedroom, and if you put a double bed facing towards the windows, you're not going to have space for your Sims to walk around to the other side of the bed. And I tried to extend the room by 1 tile and make it bigger so your Sims could walk around, but it just did not look good at all. So I ended up putting the bed against the wall, which is not ideal, but it does work. 2 Sims can sleep there. The reason why I say it's not ideal is because if you have 2 Sims sleeping in there, the one that is closest against the wall has to wake up the other Sim in order for them to do whatever they want to do, like use the bathroom or go to work or whatever. And then it's just a pain having the other Sim having to go back to sleep, or like they're up and then blah 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 blah, and it's just a lot. But I think it is a okay compromise for this house. Now in this bedroom as well, we have a little wardrobe mirror section. I use a very plain businesses and hobbies wardrobe, and then I end up using this mirror from like a maker kit. Now I haven't bought a maker kit. I am boycotting right now. I'm not buying any packs or anything, but there is like a couple of like maker packs they dropped for free on the marketplace. I did get them because they are free. I think the whole point of The Sims and EA doing that is just to attract people to the marketplace. So once they like get the free thing, they might see something like they like and then spend like $5 on it or whatever. But I don't care about the marketplace. Like it's not that big of a deal. I say get it just because it is free. I believe they stopped becoming free on July 16th. So you have like almost 3 weeks to get it. So just get it. I will say though, the desk is pretty ugly, and this is no hate to the creator of the desk. It's just not my style, but maybe I'll make a video trying to make it work. Who knows? But back to the actual build itself. I did put in a chair next to the wardrobe. For some reason, when I was playtesting it, it would not work. If I placed the chair in a different spot, it would work. I think it has something to do with the platforms maybe, and it just bugging out. So unfortunately, I had to replace that with just like a little lamp. It sucks, but it is what it is. Now we're moving into the bathroom. This is going to be very quick, very simple. It's just toilet, sink, and a shower. I didn't want to clutter it up that much, just because this bathroom is very tiny and I didn't want your Sims having any routing issues. Something I did though that was kind of neat is I did like a little wall next to the door. It's gonna end up being a half wall, but I used that to kind of block off the shower because I didn't want the shower being out in the open. And there's this window from Love Struck that kind of works as like a shower divider. I was using just like a plain like glass wallpaper at first, but I wanted it to be frosted, and the glass wallpaper is just full see-through. But the Love Struck one, there is like a swatch that is frosted. So I ended up just using that and just kind of having a little bit more privacy for your Sims when they shower. I don't think it has really any effect on gameplay, to be honest. But my intent with this house is that it's probably a couple that's living here and not roommates. So I don't think it would be that big of a deal if your Sim was showering and their spouse walked in on them, you know? Now, finally, we're coming to probably my favorite part of this build, which is the office area. Now, it looks very cramped, like your Sim cannot access that desk, but they can. Pretty basic, but I think it looks so cool. I just love the look of the glass walls surrounding the office. It probably would be miserable in real life, especially during the summer, seeing as there is no curtains, but in The Sims, you don't have to worry about that. So I think it looks pretty neat. And I also used the computer as well from the maker kit. I heard some people saying that they didn't like it and that it looked ugly. I think it looks kind of cute because it looks like an iMac, and I think iMacs are cute, but to each their own. Now you're gonna see me place a little bit of clutter. This was very hard for me to do, and you might be like, placing clutter? How is that hard? I tend to clutter up to the nines. Every nook, every cranny is going to have clutter in it. But I wanted to challenge myself to only place clutter on where it would slot. So if I wanted to put like a plant on a shelf and it didn't slot there, I couldn't use that plant. And not gonna lie, it was pretty hard for me to restrain myself from like alt placing so much clutter on there. But I persevered and I only added like 6 bits of clutter throughout this whole house. So please be proud of me. And lastly, we're just kind of adding a little bit of finishing touches. I realized there wasn't that much for your Sims to do in this house besides like the computer and the TV. So I added a little bookcase from the booklet kit, which is literally my favorite bookcase of all time. I think it looks cute. I liked how it turned out. And finally, we're adding some wallpaper. I just added a bit of wood paneling and then some of the gray concrete from outside. Again, I normally don't build in this style, and it was definitely out of my comfort zone, but I think it looks pretty cool. The only thing I will say though is having some wood paneling in the bathroom is pretty iffy, but it's The Sims. So as long as it looks good, that's all I really care about. But we're getting towards the end of the build. I did some very minimal landscaping. Again, trying something new. Normally I do a lot of landscaping, but I just tried to keep it simple and add like little ferns and some rounded bushes. But with that being said, let's go in the game so we can check out this build and also show you how you can download it if you wish. Now, if you want to download this build, it's going to be up on my gallery. It's just luvions, same as my YouTube, and it's going to be MCM Tiny Home. MCM is just shorthand for mid-century modern. And again, I did use a little bit of packs, but to be fair, a lot of these packs you don't really need. You really only need just like the main packs, like businesses and hobbies, or like dream home decorator, or the sleek bathroom kit, just stuff like that. And then it is also a little bit pricey. Normally for 2 Sims you get about 22,000 simoleons. This is 25,000 simoleons, so a little bit more expensive than a starter home for 2 Sims, but I figured you could work your way up to it, and if you really wanted this house you could just cheat for it. Now here is the house, and I did did have to place a little bit more tiles just because in the thumbnail photo, this was like all gray and it looks very weird. So I had to use like a little piece of room just to cover it up. Honestly though, it's still under 100 tiles, so I'm not going to complain too much. But here is the house. We do have a trash can on the back side and then a mailbox by the front door. And if you come in the house, you're immediately entered into the living, dining, kitchen area. I also changed out the stove as well because I was using like one item from Home Chef Hustle, which is a little bit ridiculous. So I just replaced it with the Life and Death stove and I think it looks better. Another thing that is different than the speed build. But here is the little kitchen area. We got our mini fridge, our stove, our sink, and then we have the money trash can as well. This was from a rewards event, so if you don't have it, it's not going to show up in your game. But you can just use the other money trash can that's in the base game. We have our little dining area right here, and then we have our living room right here with a TV and a bookcase for your Sims, just for their fun need. Now to the door on our left is going to be the bedroom. Again, 2 Sims can sleep here. It's just going to be a little bit annoying if you have a sim right here and they need to get out, but it's basically a starter home, so you can't complain too much. And then we have a little wardrobe dressing area right here. Now directly opposite to the bedroom is going to be the bathroom. Again, not much to it, just a shower, a sink, and a toilet. And finally, if you step down, we have our little office area, which is my favorite part of the build. This is fully functional. It doesn't look like it, but it is. And then we have a little seating area with a plant. Not gonna lie, I'm really happy with how this build turned out. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. This was definitely out of my comfort zone, but I think I did a pretty decent job. But you let me know in the comments what you think. And again, make sure to like and subscribe, as that lets me know you want to see more videos like this, and that also lets YouTube know that you want to see more of my videos. I hope you have a awesome day, night, morning, evening, wherever you are, and I will hopefully catch you in my next video. Peace out.